In this video, we will be discussing on how to build a simple React graph or an agent from Langgraph. So, what really happens here is that in the beginning of the conversation, your agent node will try to understand if this certain query can be done using the agent itself, or else it will invoke a tool call, and if we go to the tools, it will fetch the necessary details from that, and it will return back to the agent, and we try to construct an answer, and then need to go to the end node, right? So we'll try to understand how that really works in the graph, right? So if I try to understand the code from the beginning, so we have done some imports like here, and we have defined some tools. So let me explain how these tools come handy when you are doing the later part of the code, right? So then we have the tools. So I have tools connected. We have the search tool, the calculator tool, and the get weather tool, right? So what really happens here is that let me explain you how we're building the graph, right? So if you go to the main section, you can see how I'm constructing the graph, right? So yeah, so here we have the create React agent. So first we are defining the graph, which is we're gonna call it the workflow, and it's a state graph, and it's agent state. So what do you mean by the agent state here? So this is the state that we're going to preserve throughout the execution of the graph, right? So when your graph is giving you an answer, actually your state is being passed through the nodes and it's being manipulated, and that's how you get the final output, right? So here, for an example, we have uh, the agent node, and uh, we have the tool node, right? So tool node. So we have the tool node. So we have the tool node, right? So tool node is a graph node that's already built from Langgraph, and we are going to attach tools that we define here. So we have the tools defined. If you go to this section, you will see you have the search tool, you have the calculator tool, and you have the get weather tool. So these tools are defined here. So you can see we have the search tool, and it's being declared as tool, and you have query as an input to the search tool, right? So here we're not going to attach any real-time search engines or search tool, but what we're going to do is we're going to search information on the web, use this when you need to find a current information, right? So simulate a search tool, replace it with actual information in production. So in production, we're going to replace it with an actual search engine API, all right? So currently what we're doing is we're just returning a string saying that search results for this is simulated search data in production. You connect it to the real-time search API. And then we have the calculator tool, right? So we have again declared it as a tool, and we have calculate mathematical expressions versus for any mathematical calculations, and we are trying to get the result from eval expression. So what this does is this uses the built-in function eval that is there in Python. So it just gets the expression, evaluates it just as we are running it in the terminal or in the command prompt. We invoke Python, and then we're gonna get the result, and then we're gonna return the result of the expression is this, right? So if there's an error, we will be throwing an exception saying that we have an error, and we're gonna mention the error as well. Then we have defined another tool to get the weather. So we have get weather information for location. So what this does is again we are going to have a real-time API. We're going to replace it with the weather API in production, but currently, to simulate the tool, we are returning it to the string. So we're going to tell whether in location, this particular location is sunny with 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is simulated data. Right. So we have the tools defined, and then we have the state as well. So we can see we have the agent state. So this is the state that I told earlier. So this state is actually gonna get passed through the nodes, gonna get manipulated, gonna get changed, and it's gonna spit out from the final node. So here we have the messages, which is again an annotated sequence based message of add. So what this really means is that we're gonna concatenate, or we're gonna like sum up, or we're gonna be the single list that is having all the messages that is gonna give that's gonna be like given out from node. So each node is going to plug in new messages like AI messages to this particular list, right? So that's what meant by sequence-based message and operator, right? Uh, yeah, so it just appends new messages. That's a very important. And then we have tools. We have defined the tools as a list, and we defined the tools earlier, if you can remember. And then we have set the API key. We're not going to do this in production. We'll probably keep it on a file or something. But at this point that you are seeing this video, this token will be probably expired, right? So then we have defined the model that we're going to use. We're going to use 2.5 flash with temperature of 0, and then LNA with tools. So we're going to bind tools to this. Like so, so what we're going to do is like we're going to bind the tools to this LLM, right? So then we have an helper function which is actually going to help us print the messages that are going to be given at a particular stage. So that will be currently tested. So after getting to the agent, so we have the start node, we have the agent, and the agent is going to decide whether it's going to need a tool to get the answer or not. Right. So if it needs a tool, then it will probably go to this tool node and try to evoke a tool, get the results, and come back to the agent. But if it's not going to need a tool, it's going to end the flow, right? Yeah. So then, if it does need a tool, then it will evoke a tool called uh, it will evoke a tool call. So that's what you can see here. So we can see the messages. So set messages, and the response is LLM with tools dot invoke the messages and return the messages, right? So we're gonna get the response, and then it's directly connected to like to observe the flow. You can see so we have the agent node, right? So we have the workflow.agent node is there, and we have the tool node is there, and we have the entry point as agent. So that's where we're gonna set the start. So if you look at the graph again, we have the start connected to this agent node. So that's where we're gonna invoke the agent. So that's where we're gonna start the graph. That's the starting point actually. So we have that in place, and then workflow.add conditional edges. So what this does is like we have the agent and we have a conditional edge. So what does that mean? So that means like we have the route decision function, which is going to help us to decide whether your of the agent is going to the tool node or it's going to go to the end. So if you look at this graph here, so we have the agent node, and actually from this agent node, we are going to invoke uh, the router node. So that not it's not a node, it's actually a helper function. So a route decision. So it's going to decide whether I'm going to go to the tools or I'm going to end. So if it's going to the tools, you can direct it here, and if it decides it's going to end, you're going to go to end. Right. So if you look at the graph, you can see like this conditional edge will tell you whether you're going to end the graph or you're going to go to tools. Right. So if this particular function gives you like it's going to get the messages, it's going to get the last message, right? So it's going to get the last message and it's going to decide whether am I going to go to tools again or am I going to end the graph, end the execution. So you can see like if you have the tool calls in your last message, if it's a tool call or if it has the attribute of tool calls, then you're going to return tools. If not, if you're going to end it. So looking at this output, it's going to decide whether if it gives out tools, then you're going to go to the tools node. If not, it's going to go to the end node. Right? So that's what's meant by this piece of code, right? And then you can put an edge between tools and the agent. So actually, if you go back to the graph, like this is what the conditional edge is doing. Like it's deciding whether it should go to the tools or it should go to the end node. But this particular node, edge, it should be there. Like it should be already connected. Like it should have a static connection. Because otherwise there won't be a return path. So that's what you're doing here. You are having it built. So you have a conditional. You have an edge saying, all right, tools to edge. So you have an edge, right? Then we're gonna compile the graph and you're gonna return it, right? So we have the create React agent built in that particular way, and we are going to initiate it in the main function, and we're gonna try this particular piece of code. So we're gonna this is actually trying to save the image of the graph that I showed you earlier, right? And then what it does in the beginning is it tries to do a mathematical calculation. So what it does is like initially I'm going to evoke the graph saying, so this is a human message because I'm giving the input, so I'm giving a human input, which is a human message, with the content parameter saying that what is 2 times 17 plus 100. So what should initially happen is this particular piece of message is going to go to the start node and then it's going to go and hit the agent. So the agent is going to actually read it. It's going to have that LLM with these binding with tools, and then it's going to try, all right, to do this particular operation, I need the help from the tool. So it's going to invoke a tool node. So then what will happen is it will be directed towards this tool by the help function, which is route decisions. Then there, your tools will be invoked, and that particular expression will be given as an input to the calculator tool, do the processing there, get the output, and then it will go back to the agent as a tool message. Then after it understands there are still message, it will generate an answer, and it will go to the end node, right? So that will be the basic flow, right? So again, we have the results. So we have the agent of invoke. What's the weather like in San Francisco? So it's going to understand that there is an urgency to understand the weather in San Francisco. So we have we will probably do the same sort of uh, like traversal of the graph, and finally we are going to print the graph message. So again, we have like search for Python programming and calculate for to 2 times 10. So we have like two sort of requirements here. We need to search for Python programming, which is a search operation, and we need to get the calculation done as well. So again, we can see how the tools behave in operation as such, right? So then, yeah, and at the end we have a normal conversation sort of thing going on. So we are taking the user input, and we're gonna do this certain operation, and then it's gonna print us. If you quit, it's gonna print us a goodbye. Yeah. So we'll try to see this in action, right? So let me just do uh, like a new graph. So I have so this is my requirement.txt, if I could mention earlier, and you have set up a virtual environment and currently activating it as well. So let me just give this a quick run and let's check how this is going to work. So let me just do enter, right? Uh, okay. Right, so I wanted to understand how the initial flow is being done. So from the point I'm invoking this thing, so where I call the function, where I just triggered the application to run. So we have first we have the mathematical operation. So we can see how the state is at the route decisions uh, function, right? So there we have human message. So that is what I asked first, like what is 25 times 17 plus 100. So then the AI message really like at the edge node, it understood that it needs the tool call to be done with an expression of 25 times 70 plus 100. Then the decision node, which is here, like you can see it here, the decision route, which is here, the route decision function. It understood that like I need to have a helper function like tool call to calculate the expression. So it really did call a tool, go to the tool node, and from there it went through the tools that are connected to the tool node, and it understood that it needs to get the calculator tool, and then it gave this particular expression into the tool, and then it got this as the output, right? Then it again went to what? It again went to the agent, and the agent understood, all right, I need to formulate the final answer, and it gave uh, this particular answer. So it gave, all right, the result for 25 and 17 plus 100 is right. Cool. So uh, that is how that worked. So right. So if we go to the other example, we have the user asking what is the weather in San Francisco. So then it understood that it needs to do a tool call. The agent understood it, so it gave San Francisco as the input. So then, like we can see, it goes back to the agent. So there, again, it's going to have the same set of uh, processes, and then it again invokes to a message. So then it gives the input that to the simulated data. So then it goes back to the agent. So agent understand, all right, I have the necessary information to tell what the weather in San Francisco is like, and then it gives, all right, the weather in San Francisco is having a temperature of this much. All right, so then this was the user input, and this was the user output. Then again, if you have multi-step reasoning, the human is asking search for Python programming and calculate 42 times 100. So here we have a search operation that is being done, and also an expression that is needed to be calculated. So then what happens first is it gets into this agent node. Here it is going to decide, all right, I need to do a tool call to get the I need to do some search operation as well as some I need to calculate an expression. So it understood that, and then it probably went to the tools node, and there it invoked the tools, which is the search tool and the which is search tool and the calculator tool. So that's where you get right. So we have the from here you can understand that the search tool is being invoked, and here you can understand that the calculator tool is being invoked, and then you have the final message. So you can see I found information about Python, and the result of 42 times 10 is 420. Yeah, so that's how it basically works, right? So yeah, so again, because I have a normal conversation activated as well, so you can see we are given to type a message. So you can just type hi, it will give right. So hi, how can I help you? And then if I ask what is the what is let's say what is the let me do weather in Sri Lanka, and then if you do right, so we can see a tool code being generated. Alright, so whether in Sri Lanka is it's funny, to sunny. So then we use output. The weather in Sri Lanka is sunny with temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So I mean, you can see how the tool codes have been generated for each of the messages you put. But if you put something completely irrelevant with the tools, and it understands, all right, I don't need the tool code here. I will just answer with what I have. So if I ask something like, what is the largest city in Sri Lanka, then it would give me. Alright, so it just says like it does a tool call, right? So it just evokes a tool. So largely Sri Lanka, like, oh yeah. So I mean, it's pretty reasonable, right? So what it does is like, so I asked for what is the largest city in Sri Lanka. So this is actually a search operation. So it did trigger uh, the search tool, right? So largest city in Sri Lanka, and then search results for largest city in Sri Lanka is in Sri Lanka. So the tool gave us this particular output. So then, but unfortunately, like it didn't have any like information about the largest city in Sri Lanka. So that's why it gave, right, I'm sorry, I don't have the information. My search tool is not providing specific results at the moment. But if it did, if it really did work, and if it could find information about the largest city in Sri Lanka, probably it would give us an answer. So I think this video did clear some doubts or maybe like some clarity about how these functions work. Yeah, so if you have any doubts, you can just drop them in the comment section or you can contact me, I guess. So then that's it for this video. So I hope to maybe improve the content videos in the future stuff. And if you have any concerns, please feel free to reach me.